I've pulled the existing pocket apart to try and work out how it was done. Put it around the right way. No. This is the outside that you see inside the car. Inside that you have this piping across the top, which actually has an elastic piece in there. So I've got that. That's actually quite good. This was glued to that, and I'm not too sure whether it was glued to it before it was sewn. I think it was. So that was glued to that. So the outside was glued to the piping, and then somehow this was on the back and then sewn through like that. It's actually quite complicated to set up on the machine. So I'm not sure whether I'll sew this piece first, which might make it a bit easier than trying to fold that over and then also fold these other two pieces onto it. So I'll just have to think a bit about that as to how practical it is to do it the way they did it. But I think certainly gluing this piece would make it easy. It would save trying to hold all the individual pieces. But whether I can sew it in one go, I'm not sure. But I'll have a look at that. At this stage I've got these pieces. I can actually cut now the templates. It's not a problem. As I say, I'll reuse this, and the other pieces will be new vinyl and new wadding. Now I just tried to simulate the way this was done, which means gluing the piece you're using for the piping to the outside sheet just to hold it in place, which I've done on this. Doesn't matter which is the inside and the outside, and then getting all of the pieces together. So first of all you fold over, you glue that to that piece, that's the outside piece, you put the piping in, then you fold that over, and then you get the inside piece and put it over there as well, then put it in your machine and sew it. Now that's what I've done here, and what you end up with is a piece where you've got the inside and the outside, and the piping seems to sit on the top. It's actually quite a neat way of doing it. The only problem I have with it is that I'm not going to actually run the sewing machine under power. I actually do it by hand. That way I've got more control. So I'm going to basically put it in the machine this way, hold the pieces together, and then carefully run the machine up as close as I can to the piping and sew it. So I turn the machine by hand. But it looks as though I can do it. The key to it will be getting these pieces, these are the pieces I've cut out, getting the pieces to actually line up properly. So I cut these from the patterns. Now what I'm going to have to do is to make sure that the top edge here lines up just with the bare patterns. They don't quite do that at the moment, so I've got a bit of trimming to do. I'll do that. Then I will glue, that's the outside piece. Then I'll glue the piping, that's this piece, which goes around that way. It's then got to glue just the very edge of it, just so it holds it in place. Glue it onto that. Then I put the piping in. Then I fold that over like that. Then I put the inside piece over the top of that, and then very carefully sew along the invisible line there. So yes, it can be done, but first of all I need to get these pieces to line up properly. When I've cut them out from these, they don't actually line up properly, so a little bit of trimming to do, not that hard. So I'll do that next and put it in the machine and see if I can replicate that finish. If I can do that, I'm doing well. I was able to sew this up without too much difficulty. It's not finished, I've just tacked it in place to see basically that it does fit. Now, see there, it fits quite well. It has no padding in the pocket yet. I've got to do that. So what I wanted to do first was to just get this in position. I'll mark where that goes just with a pen on the board because it's got to come off. So just take these tacks out. So in here I've got to put the padding, but looking at how that was sitting, I probably need to glue this down so it sits tighter. So I'll do that. I'll take it off and I'll glue on the other side of that and then stick that to this outer piece. Then I'll put the padding in there and then pull that tight over the top. So that should work. So at this stage it's got to come off again while I glue this. So I'll mark around here. It's fitting in the right position, and I'll just finish this pocket off. The pocket of course is still not completely finished. I've got to put the backing piece which goes right over the top of this, so it's a big piece here, covers all of this, but that's the last piece that will go on with the pocket. So still a lot of work to do. The seam went on quite well. Took a while to do it by hand on the machine, but it seemed to work quite well, and I'm hoping when I make these this glue piece in here and then the wadding will make the pocket fill out more. Obviously it's not filling out at the moment because there's nothing in there to fill, but it's looking quite good. I've just moved into my other workshop to do some stapling. I don't have a portable compressor at the moment, so I've moved into the main workshop where the large compressor is. I've stapled the pocket in and I've tacked the what I'll call a bungee cord part of it in. So I'll put tacks through that. You'll note that the pocket is covered on the inside as well as the outside, and what I've done is I've cut the backing piece, the overall backing piece, get it around the right way, which has to be stapled over the top of all of that. So it's stapled over. Turn that over. So it appears like that, so the pocket operates like that. So I've got to be very careful how I staple this. I've got to staple it fairly close to the edge of the piping here to make sure it doesn't separate. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then most of the card is complete. I've still got to do the bottom piece of the carpet, but when I do this, the main shape and look of the pocket is pretty well complete. So I'll just go ahead and staple all that in. It'll take a while, so I'll just get into it now. Alright, the back of the pocket has gone in nicely. That's quite solid, and when that's up against the door, that'll be fine. What I've now got to do is to do the carpet piece for the bottom. Now it's a piece of aluminium that's tacked up underneath, around the other way, up underneath like that. So it goes in there, and it has a piece of carpet put on there. That's so you don't kick the actual door card when you're getting in and out of the door. So I've got to cut a piece of carpet to go in here, and I've got to trim the bottom of the carpet so it's sealed on the bottom edge. So that's the next thing to do. I need to clean this up first. It's just a bit grubby. Clean that up so I can glue the carpet onto this side, and then tack it onto the board from the other side. So I think I should be able to tack it. I think I've got enough thickness of timber and material to tack it through. If not, I may have to see if I can staple it. This may have been screwed by the look of it. There's a small screw in there. I can see if I've got some very short screws. That's another possibility. So I'll examine that before I do it, but I need to get the carpet out, and I'll undo that in the other workshop. Now I've got the carpet in the bottom of the card. That didn't pose much problem. The carpet is glued to the aluminium piece behind it, and I put a sealing piece of vinyl on the bottom just to cover the cut carpet, so that seals it in nicely and doesn't expose the cut. The card I'm just trying to put on now, it's on the clips at the top. I've just got the screw in the middle tightened up a little bit, and then I'll just tighten the others, but at the moment it's sitting out a little bit on this top corner here. I may have to put another screw up the top just to hold that in. Just come a bit closer. It's just sitting out a little bit. It would probably be better to hold it in. I mean, really the the steel clip is about here, but it's not holding the top in close to the panel. Now the door handle will, once I've put the cover plate on and put the handle on, that will push in, but I think this top end here will still be sticking out a bit. So I think I've got to put another screw up there just to make sure it's quite solid. So I'll just look at that now before I make any final decisions. The card is sitting well against the that piece of timber up the top. I haven't screwed that in yet either. I'll probably screw that in next, it's just screwed straight to the door. There's a couple of plates hanging down. It's only about 3 screws to go in there, so I'll do that. That positions that, and then I should be able to finalise this issue here. Just trying to permanently fit the door card. Got the screw up there, that's fine, that holds that in. I've got a filler piece in the top there to fill in the gap between the timber and the metal. That's fine. The problem I've had is with the thickness of the timber I'm using. It is slightly thicker than the original, which then means it's a bit harder to get the pin in the actual door handle. The other handle's fine because it's actually no timber behind that. Just needs a little bit more padding to bring that out a bit. But I only had a small hole in the actual timber. I've actually had to widen that to be able to push the centre ring, this one in here, back in through the hole, so I can actually then be able to locate the pin. Now I've almost got it. I can actually get the scribe through the hole. Might be a little bit awkward when I've got all the handle in place trying to get everything in, but in theory it's almost there. So I'll just clean up the hole just a fraction wider on the timber, and then I'll see if I can fit that door handle. Once that's fitted, everything else is right to screw up, and all this timber's screwed in place, so that's fine. So I'm almost there. I've finished fixing up the door handle. I haven't put the pins in yet, and the reason I'm doing that is that I still haven't put the seals around the windows. So they're the seals on the actual body, and until I do that, I really can't set the final position of the window frame. So I can still bend that in and out through adjustments of how I bolt it in down under the door card. So until I put those rubbers in, I don't want to actually screw all these in and put the pins in. So I'll just leave that at that. The card is finished, and it's now time to move on to the other side of the car.